Silver dollar words like archipelago can be easily checked with a Google search, but not everything can. Since many of the games I enjoy are fantasy-based with limited or zero voice acting, there's always been this unique problem of having entirely made-up names with many potential ways of saying them, but no clear way to verify which is correct. Take the Zelda series, for instance. Casual players will never actually have to speak these names out loud. But when you're discussing in person with other fans, or, making a YouTube video, you'll suddenly have to, so it's a more common issue than you'd expect. Luckily, newer games in the series like Breath of the Wild and the official Hyrule Warriors spin-offs exist for definitive answers. But that still leaves out side characters like Cafe, who may never appear in another game to have his name canonically spoken. It's important to remember that these names coming out of Japan were invented with a Japanese speaking style in mind, so it's easier to imagine how they should sound with a baseline understanding of the language. Fortunately enough, Japanese pronunciation is easy. Take G for example. In Japanese, every G is pronounced like the G in girl, which helps eliminate English language problems like GIF and GIF. As for vowels, there are only 5.
A, I, U, E, O.
In the case of EarthBound, knowing these vowels suggests things like the infamous golden statue being pronounced as mani mani instead of mani mani. Ironically the opposite to how I've been saying it in recent videos. The EarthBound series, very low on Nintendo's priority list, but hugely popular in fan communities, has had its fans questioning how to say important names like this for years. So today I'm going to be looking at the biggest question marks, to help suggest how these often contested words ought to be said in English. First up is the major villain of the first and second game, the Universal Cosmic Destroyer. In Japan, his name is written like this, and unquestionably pronounced Geeg. It's a name Itoi came up with because of how unpleasant he thought the syllable Gi sounded to the ears, and how dreadful the rest of that Japanese syllable set, ga, gu, ge, and go, reads when compared to the rest of the syllabary. It's funny because as an English speaker, I associate those types of sounds with the noises a baby would make. And don't let that act as support for any infamous theories that may or may not exist. Anyway, Geeg's name is exactly the same in both Mother 1 and Mother 2, but that changed when these games were translated into English, because of different localization teams between them, and the fact that the original was finished but not officially released until decades after its sequel. The EarthBound Beginnings localization director spelled out the alien's name like this, while EarthBound's translators came up with something else. So Phil Sandhop's version here can still be read as Geeg, but not Marcus Lindblom's. So how do you say this new name? Despite an unofficial advertisement calling him Giygas, Marcus and his staff always pronounce their localized name as Giegue-us. To be honest, I do like the sound of Giygas better, but I made the switch when considering Itoi's intention behind the name, and Marcus's revelation being the closest thing we'll get to Word of God. With this said, you don't have to go out of your way to use this less cool pronunciation like me. If you prefer Giygas, you do you. Like the rest of the words we'll be looking at today, it's just brain food lunch for thought. Moving on to the second word, we have the game's first, town. Even though there's an obvious theme here, with town and city names progressing numerically, Onett, Tucson, Threed, and Fourside, the Japanese spelling of Ness's hometown makes it absolutely clear the name's not supposed to be pronounced Onett. Itoi instead intended it to sound like either Onett or Onett. Before we move away from these places, though, I do have a couple of fun facts relating to them. According to Itoi, a hypothetical fifth town in this game would have been called Fivelin, or Feebelin. Uh-oh. The third town, Threed, is known as Threek in Mother 2. But since there's no TH sound in the Japanese language, Japanese players actually pronounce Threek as Shriek, which is kind of cool and fitting because it sounds like shriek. The third item on my agenda is the prefix used for the psychic powers most characters in this party possess. Sorry, Jeff. In Mother 2, the names for many of these powers start with PK, which is short for psychokinesis. Some other techniques start with another prefix, which is short for both psychokinesis and psionic. In Japanese, this is pronounced Psi, not PSI. This isn't as obvious in English though, and for some reason the localizers changed every instance of PK to PSI. So you'll hear these varying pronunciations from different EarthBound streamers and Let's Players very often. If you still prefer spelling out PSI, that's fine, I get it. They're all capital letters that sound nice in conjunction with PK. But do consider that in this case, PSI is not initialism. Its letters aren't spelling out an individual word, like pounds per square inch. I used to say PSI, but psi makes a little more sense to me, and that is how it's said in Japanese. Another word that might make the fans sigh is this location some pronounce as Magicant, and others Magisant. It's the name of the Dreamland both Nintendo and NES visit different versions of in their respective games. In Japanese, the intended pronunciation is clearly Magicant, with a hard K, because it uses the kana symbol ka instead of sa. The name is also likely a combination of magic and kantori, the Japanese word for country. Lastly, we have a less contended but important to the plot location nevertheless. It's a name we might all be saying wrong. Lumine or Lumine Hall. Saying it out loud for the first time, you'd use one of those two pronunciations, right? Well, it's actually closer to Lumine or Lumina Hall. But that's my lesson for today. I hope this was interesting and that even longtime fans may have learned something new. All this information and much, much more can be found in Clyde Mandelin's Legends of Localization book on the game. I have seriously used mine so much for reference on this channel that it's legitimately falling apart. So I'll be putting a link in the description for where you can buy one that isn't busted up. There's also quite a bit of information available for free, still up on Clyde or Mado's comparison site if you're interested. I'd also like to give special mention to the supplementary Mother 2 Passport he wrote, as a guide to help navigate the Japanese version. It definitely helped inspire this video, and it actually motivated me to learn the katakana and hiragana writing systems. It's less impressive than it sounds. You can actually learn it in a week with practice. But if you'd like to see another how to pronounce entry on other games in the future, just let me know. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.